Welcome to Bearing Up at Night. How's it going? Thursday night. I know it's super late. It is 9:30 here in Texas. I hope, first of all, that you can see this because I know my internet's bad, and I know it's probably even worse here at night. And I'm pretty sure my daughter's watching Disney Plus or something of that sort. So I don't know how good a quality is going to be. This is a big test. And I've been testing it. Some of them have been better. Some of them have been worse. And so I've kind of tried to figure out what I need to do to make sure that the quality of the videos are to the maximum every time. But again, this is another test. Hopefully you can even see this. That'd be nice. How are you doing tonight? If you're watching, put it in a comment. If you're watching this later, comment. I apologize for the lighting. I put no time into the lighting because guess what? It's almost 9:30. And so I didn't really care. I just wanted to get going and get talking with y'all. This may be 10 minutes tops. I'm really thirsty. But we're starting with the top 5 ways we can become encouragers. Like the number one, number 5 through 1. There it is. 5 through 1. Tonight's number 5. We'll end in a few weeks with number 1. Top 5 ways we can become an encourager. And the first one is kind of simple. We're going to go internal and external with some of these things. But this first one is pretty cut and dry. And it's just practice the words of Jesus. Right? How do you become an encourager? You practice the words of Christ. For example, what does Jesus say about the first being last? You know, the first will be last, the last will be first. I heard that all the time growing up. Didn't really sink in because I'm still super competitive. I still want to win. So I didn't really take that as much to heart as I should have. But the scripture I want to focus on is in John 13. Where Jesus washes the disciples' feet, right? Jesus gets down beneath the level of a servant. Okay? Let's take us back to the first century. Christ is in a world where there's no cars. There are, maybe if you're rich enough, you have a donkey. No pavement. You know, maybe in the bigger cities they had stone paths, but nothing like we have today. And they walked everywhere, right? They walked everywhere. We see about Jesus walking all the time. I probably should do that, but and they didn't wear sand. They didn't wear shoes. Where you take your sock off and there's a line of dirt, right? When you've been working out in the yard all day and you've been gardening, whatever, there's a line of dirt. Didn't have that. They were in sandals. Nasty, nasty, nasty feet. And therefore, the servant who washed the feet was the lowest servant of the lowest servants, right? He was the servant's servant. The guy washing the feet was at the bottom of the totem pole. Period. End of discussion. So they come to this Last Supper, and their host has forgotten to get someone to wash feet because it's nasty. You want your feet to be washed. It was part of the tradition. You know, we all go wash our hands before dinner. They wash their feet. But there's no foot washer. And everybody's kind of noticing this, and everybody's kind of just, what's going to happen? And the last thing they expected happened. And Jesus gets up, takes off his outer clothes. Basically, he's in his underwear, and he wraps the towel around his waist, and he washes their feet. The last person in the room is supposed to do it, right? And so what does this have to do with encouragement, Logan? The idea I want us to take from Christ here is the humility, right? The humility. How do you really start to become, and I'm talking about the very first step. These are in order. These 5 are in order. If you've come back, because I'm going to tell you every episode, start over, watch 5 through 1. Because the first step to being an encourager is having the humility to understand your place. And that's really hard for us. That's hard for me. I mean, my goodness. We live in a world where you have nobody, your number one cheerleader is often yourself. And so you have to bolster yourself up at work. You have to bolster yourself up at home just so that you don't get trampled over. But what Christ is saying is you won't be trampled over because they're going to see your humility and they're going to say, what is this all about? The first step to being an encourager is understanding I want better for other people, right? I don't encourage for myself. I mean, sometimes I do. Because honestly, quite honestly, sometimes encouraging somebody else is the best part of my day. And it's the most encouraging part of my day. But that's not why I do it. I do it because I want them to have a better day. I want them to not be in pain. I want to do something for them. I want to spiritually or maybe even emotionally or mentally wash their feet. I want to do something for them that's putting them above me, that's saying, I want to put you above me because that's what Christ did. And I want to lower myself, and not in a bad way. I've struggled with this because I've had positions where I've not wanted to say, lower yourself, because you say that to certain people and that can hurt. But that's what Christ does. Understanding his place, because when we have a self-confidence that comes with humility, we're able to lower ourselves without looking down on ourselves. It's not about looking down on yourself. It's about saying, I want what's good for you also, not just what's good for me. I think we miss that. I think a lot of times, I think we try so hard to make sure that we're being positive with other people. We forget to remind ourselves and remind other people that, hey, I'm building you up, but you need to be building others up as well. It's very difficult to build someone up if you're not built up, right? If I look so lowly on myself, then any form of encouragement that comes out of my mouth is fake. If I look down on myself, I spew out it's what I'm hoping other people will say to me. And it's not a genuine encouragement. So I'm getting way ahead of myself. Yeah. I think I touched on about 3 of the 5 steps tonight. So I'm going to pull on the brakes a little bit and reel it in. But internally, humility, quite honestly. Humble ourselves to where we look at other people and say, I want to encourage you. I got carried away there, got a little rabbit holes, but we'll come back to some of those ideas I threw out in the last 2 minutes in the next few weeks. So be sure to stay tuned. Be sure to watch every time we've got one of these Bearing Up at Night videos. I enjoy them. Thursday nights, I kind of look forward to it. I quite honestly almost forgot tonight. And here we are at 9:30 in the evening. So 10:30 if you're on the East Coast. So apologies for my East Coast friends. But the gospel knows no time limit. So I hope you have a great evening. And remember that the first step to your path to becoming an encourager is quite simply humility. Just begin to practice humility. Figure out, how do I do that? How do I humble myself in the way that like Christ did? So hope you have a great night. Again, apologies for the lighting. Apologies if the internet was bad. I'm going to figure out how bad it was in just a minute. And I don't know. We may never do it this late again, but we'll find out. So love you. And I pray that God blesses you. Have a good evening.